It's your 716 Uncle P from the world famous podcast, Men of a Certain Age. Please share and subscribe.
Peace and greetings and welcome into the latest episode of Men of a Certain Age, The Soup. As always, I'm Les. I got my man Panero with me and also DL Smooth down there in the ATL. What's good, fellas? How you?
Man, I can't complain. It's always good to see y'all boys on a Sunday afternoon. Nice weather down here. Looking forward to a great week. Had a pretty good week last week, a nice balanced week. And my niece is back, so it's always good to see her. And she's back in one piece. And
shout out to niece.
Yeah. She loves your lavish coordination as well.
Listen, man, this is what we do. This is how we've been doing it since way back in the day. Panero, what's good with you, man? G? How was your week?
Man, peace to my guys. A hectic week in the town. You know what I'm saying? We get 4 seasons in one day, but it is. It snowed, it rained, and the sun come out. You don't know what to wear, a tank top, corduroys, long johns. What are you going to do? What do you do here, man? You know what I'm saying? Get you a slice and go sit down somewhere.
Shit, that's what it means. It changes like the weather, man. That's the 716 in a nutshell. Be prepared for anything, because anything will happen at any time, man. So yeah, welcome into the latest episode of The Soup. We got something really hot cooking for you this week. Of course, we've got Mr. Stephen A. Smith makes another guest appearance on The Soup this week, or as we call him.
Remember, no good news is good news with Gary.
So yes, Gary is back once again. We also have awesome DL Hughley, if I could talk, has some words for Stephen A. Smith due to the BS that he said last week. We also have a special guest appearance or extra additive to The Soup in Bakari Sellers. He made a special guest appearance on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, Envy, and Just Hilarious. Also, man, as we always do on The Soup, we're going to push that narrative about your vote, and your votes have consequences. Unfortunately, in the state where I lived last week, they're trying to pass a law where the teachers can actually carry weapons in the classroom, which is craziness without that being said. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot to get into this evening, or this afternoon, I should say, and we're going to go ahead and start cooking. Now, man, as we know, this past week was a great week in sports. The playoffs started. P-Double got his Knicks gear on as we sit up here. We're watching the Knicks. My fault, y'all, for having the pod during the Knicks game, but we're going to make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as I was saying, man, it was a great week for us sports lovers. We had the NBA playoffs popping off, and then we also had the draft, man, the NFL draft. Shout out to those boys out there in the 716, the Buffalo Bills on their draft picks this past week. Did you have anything that moved you a certain way during the draft, or how did you feel about the Bills drafts, Panero?
At first, I was a little upset, you know what I mean, with Brandon Beane, man. Shout out to Brandon Beane, because he traded our pick to KC, our first-round pick, and then they pick up the fastest receiver. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, you giving receivers to the enemy, that's going to come back and bite us later on. But again, trust the process. So we picked up a pretty good receiver. Was it Keon Coleman? Picked up Cole Bishop and Dwayne Carter in the second round. So the Bills actually won when it comes to the second round pick. So I feel good. At first, I was a little upset, but I feel good about the picks.
So, Donna, I know you are a San Fran guy. You rep the 716 all time, every day, all day. Did you like what the Bills did with the draft, or you like whatever with the draft, man?
Yeah, I see you just put you threw the whole old school San Fran on. You got to really know me if you knew when I was.
We go back. We go way back.
Because I'm not. I switched my allegiance. I switched my allegiance back in when Kaepernick. Remember we discussed this? We discussed.
Yes, my bad, y'all. My bad for
I am now
bringing
a
up
full-fledged Eagles fan on the NFC side.
The Eagles. The Eagles.
Yeah, I've been an Eagles. Yeah, I fuck with Randall, and you know what I'm saying, my man Mike Quick, all them boys, even Jaws, young Jaws from Lackawanna.
Jaws,
the Polish rifle.
Harold Carmichael with the Eagles, but yeah, man, I'm happy for the Bills, man. I'm glad they stepped past the Stephon era. You know, we had a good opportunity to work with him, and obviously he made Josh a better quarterback. Hopefully that's going to translate into our receiving core, man. And I think we're going to be all right, man. Defense, I think we need some corners, some good corners. Obviously, another linebacker. What's the NFL, man? Things are going to happen. Trades are going to be made, and it's constantly in flux. So I'm looking forward to the season either way.
No doubt. And then, of course, I'm not an avid Bills fan, but I am from the 716, so I like to see them do well. But I am an avid Florida State fan. So salute to Keon Coleman for going to the 716. I already tweeted at him and told him to get a large pie for Lenovis and some barbecue wings. And you order your wings, man, do not call them buffalo wings, man.
Don't do it.
Just chicken wings in the flavor you want, man. Don't go up there screaming buffalo wings, man.
Hot, medium, or mild, or barbecue. That's it. That's the only 4 flavors for a wing, man.
Say word. Say word. All that other habanero and
lemon pepper.
Yeah,
Parmesan,
man.
garlic.
Yeah, man.
Don't ask for no ranch either on the side.
Don't ask for no ranch. It's blue cheese or nothing. If they don't have blue cheese, ranch is acceptable, but for real, man, it's blue cheese, carrots, and celery.
That's it. And some fries if you're going to push it. If you're going to push it, get some fries.
No question about it, man. As I was talking about, man, the NFL draft always piques my interest because I am an avid football fan. But it's one thing that you cannot escape when you watch the draft, man. And it is always a black athlete who has a girlfriend who is not actually African-American or of color. And they're generally some type of European, and it creates some type of awkwardness during the celebration. So let me show y'all one of the newest of the celebrations and the awkwardness that went down, y'all. Hold tight. So in this particular shot, man, we've got offensive lineman that was drafted by the Jets from Penn State. Now, his parents are Nigerian, so he is a Nigerian American. And they're all there, the Nigerian family, they're in their traditional garb. And then he's got his family and his extended family there for the celebration. This kid's been working they tails off their whole life for this moment, man. Check it out.
New York Jets.
Yeah!
See, now this is the first time she reaches for his legs. She's trying to give him some love, right? She's giving him some love. Mom Dukes is like, watch the elbow. She goes back Dukes closer to try to get closer. Mom Dukes give him to back.
Mom Dukes still giving her a higher ball screen.
She boxing her out.
Yeah.
She gave her some love. There now, Mom Dukes.
She's still trying to get at him.
Now, this is one that I actually found and I clipped, right, to show. Now, this is one of many across the draft that went down this weekend. You know what I mean? P, is it that these African-American athletes are going to these humongous campuses? You know what I mean? Ann Arbor, Columbus in Ohio, Tuscaloosa, Tallahassee, what is it? State College in Pennsylvania for Penn State. Athens, those Bulldogs, where the majority is the European. So it's so many more of them, right? Is that an aspect of it that you see this a lot with the pro athletes coming out of college? What do you think about that?
I think it's about 85% of why they do what they do, because that's what you're surrounded. You're surrounded by the majority of white folk. And what you're going to get is these girls aren't stupid. They can see the potential in you, not even the fact that you may make it or not. They see the potential in you and they line you up from the beginning. But even though you're outnumbered by white folk and white women and things of that nature. If you don't have any knowledge of who you are, you're going to easily be drawn into being with them. You can go and search a sister out if you wanted to. And sometimes people say sisters are difficult. It is what it is when it comes to that. You have to work together. And they're difficult for a reason, because they've had something in their past that may make them difficult, if they are even difficult. You got to find out for yourself. But again, you're right. I think it's just the environment, fam. You drop somebody in the middle of an area where there's majority whites, you're going to find somebody attractive that's white. And you're going to go there if you don't know who you are on the inside. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Before I come to you, is it a case that these athletes are prey? You know what I mean? That some of these women are sitting up plotting on them? That this is a history of this? That some of these sororities and different things of that nature, that's what they do. They date the athletes and so on. So do you see them as maybe possibly prey?
I don't. That's tricky, man, because when I was going to college, we had Division I basketball program, right? Those guys definitely had their, and I went to Canisius, now Canisius University, but at the time Canisius College. Basically, any black guy that had any interest in exploring the other side, or call a case of jungle fever, really wasn't too hard for them to get into it. But more so, it was a lot easier with the athletes, right? Just because they were who they were.
And more visible too, right?
Yeah, and more visible, and obviously had better perks. And, you know, at the time we didn't have NIL, so. But there's always been the allure of the forbidden fruit to a certain extent with African American men. So we have to always keep that in mind when we talk about an environment, because there are environments where there are majority Europeans, but if that's really what if you're about black people or finding a black woman, you're going to find one.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with today's technology that's available, that's going to work for you. You know what I mean? Shouts out to whoever you can love, whoever you choose to love, however you choose to love them. You know what I mean? But I think in this case, in his case specifically, a lot of these guys meet women, white girls, no disrespect intended, but they meet white girls and they're just like, she's this and she's that and she's so cool. And like you said, they may be more submissive, quote unquote, to a certain extent, and they may not present a lot of the obstacles and trauma that comes with the
right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it may be an easier road for them, but they're also a status symbol. I mean,
right.
So, you know, and it works both ways. Because now you got you a big buck nigger, rich one at that. You know what I mean?
The fetish thing comes in.
Like I said, that's why I mentioned it. And also, and then you got your submissive wife. It's a double-edged sword, man. And like I say, love who you choose to love. I just think that it's just easier for them to move around when they get to certain levels, or they think that it's easier for them to move around when it comes to certain levels in professional sports. I think that they feel more accepted.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. As you said it, plain and simple. Love who you love.
Genuine, right?
That makes you feel the way you feel. So salute. But I find it interesting. So yeah, as I'm watching, y'all know, man, I look at things very easily. You know what I'm saying? I'm a skeptic on a lot of things, man. Majority of things. And in this particular instance, watching the draft again, Denver Broncos drafted Bo Nix. So let me show y'all Bo Nix draft party. So here's Mr. Bo.
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix.
Bo Nix is like 40.
So my man looked And I know who I'm saying when I say my man looked like the European look at the majority of the other draftees' houses. He was like the only piece of color up in there, and he's screaming and shouting like he got drafted. Man, it was just funny to me when I saw that, because it was like the reverse of what I've been seeing the entire draft. I'm not gonna say the entire draft because not all other brothers had a Euro on their side. You know what I mean? It was a hefty amount, but then there were those of us who stayed with us. And then P, how you say it?
And just because we love us, don't mean we don't like y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love people. I love all people who love all people. How about that?
There you go. That's what it is. That's real shit, man. And we're gonna put a cap on the draft and shout to all the brothers who made their dreams come true and their families' fortunes made.
Word.
You know what I mean? Because that's a big thing for all of those young men out there. And I salute y'all for going out there and reaching your dreams, man. So as we continue on this hot, boiling pot of soup, man, again, share, subscribe, and comment down low. We're trying to get to how many subscribers by Memorial Day, UH?
250.
250.
We need everybody to please smash that like button and please subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, man, again, the TL was bubbling, man. And in this particular thing, man, when it came across my mind, I was like, yo, I got to bring this to the Lords, because I know the Lords, they're going to have some extra seasoning for this one. So I'm not even going to even set it up. I'm just going to play it. And I want to see how y'all react. Here we go.
I'm not raising black children. I'm raising children. I'm not raising black men. I'm raising men. And whether you are black or you are white, no matter what race that you are, there are certain things about being a man and being a good man when it comes to character and integrity and safeguarding the helpless and sticking up for those who need it and being a good man of reputation. None of that has to do with skin color. Everything has to do with the character of the man. And like I said, it's probably probably not an answer that some people would say is important, but that's where the world has gone, where we think that the most important thing about us is our skin color or our gender or our sex or our political affiliation or all these different identity politics or the identities that we put on each other, when really we're just human beings on this earth. And there are certain things about being a good person that transcend skin color and age and sex and religion and all of those different things.
I love that answer.
So yeah, man, this is UFC fighter Michael Chandler. And Michael Chandler, he and his wife have adopted 2 black children. And this was Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler.
I was just talking about this yesterday. I was talking about how when I was in Buffalo, I had a girlfriend and she was Spanish and younger or whatever. And we were talking about having children one day. And she was like, if we ever have children, I'm just going to raise them as a human. I was like, no, absolutely not. I was like, if we have a child, and more than likely the child is going to be dark like me, he's going to be perceived as a black person. So we have to make sure that he's armored and prepared for the challenges that come with being black. He has to be more than human. You know? So this was literally somebody who I loved and I was with for a long time, you know what I mean? But that was our irreconcilable difference. I knew that I couldn't get past that because I was going to raise any child that I had as a black person. And there's certain, not only nuances, but there are certain glaring realities to having to the black experience that you have to take into account that can't be compromised or can't be taught with just humane ideology, because a lot of times people don't look at us as humans. So you can't just expect a human experience for someone who has been portrayed, has been ostracized, and basically marginalized to the point where they have to be more than a human. They have to be black as well.
Lord,
Yeah,
when you hear this UFC wrestler talking about how he's going to raise 2 black children to become black men, and says that he's not raising black men, he's just raising men.
Mm.
What?
Yeah, it sounds real Disney, and it sounds good, and it sounds nice, and it sounds like Bed of Roses and this, that, and the other. But this is how you create like mental illness in children, and unsteadiness, and you know what I'm saying? This is how you create a villain. You know what I mean? Because you don't give them the proper tools to deal with society. You know what I'm saying? And then they go out there and they do things that they think they can do as a human, but you're not just a human, you're black. And then when you finally realize it, because you're doing 55 and a 40, that you're black and you don't understand why, that can be your life. It can be, you know what I'm saying? You think that you're something that you're not. So you have to teach people who they are. You have to be proud. He should be proud of who they are and teach them their history, so they know when they go out in the world what to do and what not to do to keep themselves alive. This is just stupid to me, man. It's just stupid. And I think his intentions are, in his mind, are good, but he needs someone to tell him or let him know, you can't raise black children just as humans, because when we go out in the world, we're not seen that way. I remember Don saying a while ago, when we turn the corner, all they see is black. When a white person turns the corner, they can be Italian, Polish, you know what I'm saying? But us,
You don't know who they are.
all they see is black. So he has to instill that in those kids, so that way they don't go out into the world and become something and get themselves into trouble, and then be mad at end up being mad at the parents for not giving them the tools to function properly in society.
Good point.
For me, when I saw that, I was like, that was 1, reckless, 2, irresponsible,
And ignorant.
and 3,
Dangerous.
you know what I'm saying? Because like you were just saying there, P, you're going to send these black children out in the world with a process as I'm just like Tommy,
Right.
and he's white. And that's not the case.
We know.
And if respect to him for adopting those kids, because I don't know what their circumstances were. Hopefully they grow up to be respectable men in society. But him being a parent and him trying to raise 2 black kids, he has to have the responsibility to try to get to know what it is to be black and who are some of the black people to introduce his kids to, so that they don't grow up hating themselves.
Right.
Because eventually somebody is going to tell them you're black.
Right.
And then it's probably not going to be you're black. It's going to be ER on the end.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So basically what he is doing, he's setting those young men up to fail by not giving them some knowledge of their history. As far as the 2 white folks adopting black kids, that's a whole different story. I know it's been done before. I believe Tom Cruise, they adopted a black child. I think
Angela Jolie.
Right. I'm about to say Brad Pitt and Madonna with the black kids. So it's foxy, but when I saw that, I was like, yo, this is some bullshit. And you setting up these young men for a bad wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
So as we continue on in the soup, as we continue to cook it up and stir it up, man, y'all know your man's was back in the news. I don't know if y'all know or not, Mr. West, Kanye West. That is. Did y'all hear about what this guy is up to lately?
No.
Yeah, I heard he started an adult film company.
He may be doing that, but
man, con porn.
This is not what the guy is in the news about. Let me share it with you one time. Is what he's in the news about. Mr. Kanye West. That is Mr. West.
Wake up,
Yes, man. We saw his.
Oh hell no! Are you serious?
You see it?
He sued.
Yay. Sued for allegedly discriminating against black staff, demanding employees cut off his locks. So this dude
Are you fucking kidding me?
is suing Kanye.
That hits right. That hits home, don't it, fam?
He never been a black man for real.
So it says that Provo reportedly began working for the Donda Academy, the rapper's Christian school, in August of 2021. The suit filed in Los Angeles claims he suffered emotional distress as a result of Ye's actions, which include allegedly firing Provo for refusing to cut his hair. This dude, man, is beyond me, yo.
He always hated himself.
So he's at the point now that he believes that he's not black. He's on some old OJ types. I'm not black, I'm OJ. I'm not black, I'm Kanye. Kanye West.
I had just given Kanye a big up last week.
Word.
On a music tip. Remember, I was like, yo, Ye came in on a Metro Boomin joint, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
You could say that again, blah, blah, blah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, man. This dude, like, yo, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I can't even really put this into words because you look at me.
That's what I'm saying. It hit home.
Imagine if I went to a job and somebody was like, Don, you got to cut your dreads. What? You got to cut your locks. What? You know how long this took? This is 5 years of my life. You know what I mean?
Samson.
And these are my antennas. This is my connection to the world around me. Like it has different meanings for different people. Some people do it for fashion. Some people do it for spirituality. Some people do it to be a hotel.
It's your strength, right? He telling you,
man, it's crazy.
Not only imagine you going into your job and they telling you to cut your strength, it's a black man telling you to cut your strength.
Yo, and that's crazy. And it's Christian. So if Jesus was black, he looked like me.
Where was your antennas?
Return to the worst category. You know, like I gave him a little bit. I was like, he was terrible. You know what I'm saying? I moved him up from worst to terrible. You know what I'm saying?
You let the toe tapping. You let the toe tap and let them get it back in because you got a bob to your neck one time. Come on.
Yeah, I like the sound effects with the sniper joint. I like that. That was Howard. You know,
he got me too. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah, he got me from worse to terrible. If he stay in his lane, he gonna be all right. But then I see this, and then he gives me this.
Here it is, Lord Kanye.
None of us can front Kanye. He's not a great artist.
Yeah, definitely a great artist, man, when it comes to that hip hop. But man, I think someone needs to do something when it comes to those. You ever see those contraptions where it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it has your meds in it? I think he's missing some of the days where he needs to take his meds. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother used to have one of those where she would take her meds every day and remind her. He needs a reminder. Why are you telling someone that looks like you to cut off their locks? I don't even call them dreads because I know the history behind that. Their locks. Why would you have somebody cut their locks off, man? Come on, Yeezy. Why? What are you trying to do? You trying to let them know I do the same thing y'all do, so be comfortable with me? Was he trying to make another run for president? What is he doing? I don't know. What is he looking for?
He definitely purposely singled this man out. You know what I mean? But again, as always, Kanye.
Fuck out of here.
It's my job to bring and show the enemies of the state, man. If I'm not showing you who your ops are, I'm not doing my job on the suit, man.
Yeah, that man. Listen, that's a hell of a find right there because man,
he pulled me back in and now I'm out again.
One more time for Kanye.
Fuck out of here.
Again, as we continue on this fast-moving pot of the soup, man, we're gonna bring another enemy to the gates. Another enemy of the state to the gates, and that is none other than.
Remember, no Ganoos is good. Ganoos with Gary. Ganoos.
So once again, Gary is out loud and saying nothing. So Stephen A. this week, y'all, apologized for what he said last week about not giving a damn what anybody has to say about what he says. He don't care. He don't give a damn what anybody has to say about what I said. So obviously, somebody called him up and was like, yo, you out here bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? Somebody out there called him up and said, you know what I'm saying? Once again, somebody called him up and said,
You done fucked up.
No, you done fucked up.
so shout out to, man, he should have won an Academy Award for that. Well, just for that scene right there with your man Candy Kane one time.
No doubt.
You done fucked up, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Stephen A., after the bullshit he said last week, he comes back and he gives us this.
Let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. Accountability is where everything needs to begin in this world. It's something I say quite often. I certainly never hesitate to hold folks accountable when mistakes or mishaps occur. So I'm certainly not about to run from it myself. I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well, after comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself. And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in Black America are pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say, even the NAACP itself. Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the Black community with all the legal issues he's facing.
Interpreted.
That, I sincerely apologize. To be clear, my words were misconstrued.
Misconstrued.
His words were misconstrued.
Oh, you got me fucked up. That's what he just basically said. You got me fucked up.
His words were misconstrued, UH.
No,
Yeah, right.
misconstrued. Oh, you got me fucked up. Jeezy said it best. Fuck out.
Remember? No! Ganous is good! Ganous with Gary! Ganous!
This nigga said misconstrued.
Right here for the record that my words were taken out of context.
Yeah.
Representing and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and disrespectful as folks in Black America evidently felt about what they thought I said.
Oh.
But I'll own it anyway. Because please know that I know the buck stops with me. I'm in the communication business. I've been here for 30 years, so regardless of whatever interpretation that accompanies any words coming out of my mouth, the responsibility ultimately lies with me first and foremost before anybody else. I've always felt that way. I still do. I always will. Period. Blacks who refuse to support Trump are aware of his history of issues. And we'll never forget how Trump claimed Obama, the nation's first Black president, wasn't even qualified to hold office because he was born in Kenya, although Trump recanted the statement during his 2016 campaign run for the presidency. Yet Trump's
So I'm going to stop it right there due to the fact that first thing he said was that things were misconstrued or taken out of context of what he had to say. Let's listen to what he said one time. Because I can remember him saying that he didn't.
Why is that happening? That's my question.
As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how Black folks, he's hearing that Black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what Black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying.
He wasn't lying. He was
So
telling
what is the misconstruing?
True.
He wasn't lying. His words were taken out of context. He was misconstrued.
Misconstrued. Oh, got me all fucked up, as my man Jeezy would say. No, it was clear as day what you said. Stand on it, just like you said you would stand on it last week. Like I said, he doesn't have the acclimate to hop into that lane. You know what I mean? He's just not qualified, man. And it's embarrassing at this point. If you're gonna take the stance and be presented as a Black person on an issue on a conservative news network, it's important that you have your finger on the pulse of the majority of Black people, right? Like we said before, the majority of Black people don't have $200,000 an hour lawyers. The majority of Black people aren't facing, as Mob D said, I'm going to court in 6 places and with 3 cases and all this type of nonsense. You know what I mean? So it's wild that he would even compare Donald Trump's or 45's legal troubles to us, and then come back and say that he didn't. That he literally, that's what he literally said. So listen, man, go back to talking about the terrible playoff series. Who was down 3-0? Kevin Durant is having or something like that.
Who was down 3-0?
Yeah,
they was down 3-0.
The Suns down 3-0.
I'm talking about you was down 3-0.
Hey, chill, but we're not down 3-0. So I'm talking about somebody, you know what I'm saying, who about to get swept today.
We'll try to hide them.
These boys are about to get swept today. This is over today. It's a wrap. So, you know what I'm saying? Go back to talking about that, man. It's a great time of year to talk about just basketball. You know what I mean? Stay in your lane. Stay in that first lane. Maybe hop over to your podcast and talk about basketball in your podcast in the second lane. But you bet, maybe even pop on a hospital for a couple episodes. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead between your 3 lanes, but you stay out of that 4th lane, Stephen. You stay out of there. Yo, it's not for you, man. It's too fast over there.
His whole alleged apology was the most Trump shit ever. He just tried to tell us he didn't say
what he said.
Gary Gnu, P.
Yo, you remember when Eddie Murphy said if Mr. T was after him, he was gonna whoop his ass. He was like, I'm gonna use a Jedi mind trick on him. You know what I'm saying? I heard you told jokes about me. No, I didn't. Well, maybe I didn't. I'm gonna go get the food and tell me them lies. You know what I'm saying? Is you gonna just tell us right in our face that you didn't say what you said? Come on, man. He knew what platform he was on Fox, so he was dancing. That's what he do. He knew he was gonna dance. Maybe in Stephen A's mind, any publicity is good publicity. Let me go on here and say blase spleet so I can get my face out there. Maybe I can get more followers on my show. Maybe I can get some, you know what I'm saying? Who knows what Fox is paying them to be their boy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's an angle. But again, don't lie to me in my face, man. Don't spit on my dome and tell me it's showers. You know what I mean? Come on, Stephen A. We all know what you do, man. Then you're going to come back and apologize and think we're supposed to be all right with it.
He didn't even really apologize.
No, and he didn't. And
he really didn't apologize.
I didn't want to play his whole entire scribe here, but he tried to come back with facts, with polls. And I'm like, yo, if they taking a poll and they only surveying 8 Black folks,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And 3 or 4 of the Black folks say they're going to vote for Trump, then obviously the poll is going to be slanted that way. You know what I mean? Come on, man. What are we talking about? What are we doing here, man? I like Stephen A from 9. What time it comes on down here? 9 in the morning until 11 is when it comes in Central Standard Time. When he talking sports, I can stomach him to a certain extent. But when he go over here and try to dabble, like you said, Don, when he try to jump into the fast lane, try to start talking about politics, culture, what's going on with the Black community, at this point, he's just like Charles Barkley. We don't want you to talk about culture. We don't want you to do that, man. We want you to talk basketball is what we want you to do. Again, Stephen A is right now, he's a major op. You know what I mean? He's in the crosshairs. He's an enemy of the state, and he's at the gates trying to get in. Another brother who is an intelligent brother, hails from South Carolina, is the brother named Bakari Sellers. And the former congressman from South Click, man, he made a special guest appearance on the Breakfast Club. UH sent me the clip of Bakari speaking on some things, man. And he happened to be speaking on Mr. Stephen A. So let's listen to what Bakari had to say, man, and we come back and build on that.
Stephen A. Smith, I think that he appreciates the white gaze. And I think that he's made him
The white gays.
What's wrong with
gays.
appreciating the white LGBTQ community?
I didn't say
Bakari?
gay. G-A-Z-E.
Oh,
gays.
Did it sound like you said gays? Did it sound like you said that?
Boy,
What's wrong with the white gays?
gays. G-A-Z-E. No.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I was like,
what are you saying?
but not. He piles around with the Sean Hannitys and Tucker Carlsons of the world. He gives them their platform. Just last week, he's talking about how when Donald Trump says that Black folk find it relatable that he's going through his prosecution, I think that his anti-intellectualism, Stephen A. Smith, confused that persecution with prosecution. There is
anti-intellectualism.
The plight of my father, who got wrongfully arrested, went to trial, went to prison, right? That is a persecution to the plight of Donald Trump.
Shot at.
Yeah, shot. Not even shot at. Shot. So you can't compare that. And I think that he talks loudly, and I think he comes from just a place of anti-intellectualism where he doesn't know. And I think that he's used as a conduit for white supremacy, particularly in these echo chambers. And what happens is white folk, white conservatives are able to be like, when you say dumb stuff, Black people find it relatable that Donald Trump is indicted. First of all, it perpetuates stereotypes that we're hyper-criminalized, etc. But when you say that, white folk now look at you and be like, aha, there's even a Negro that says that too. He's a useful idiot when it comes to things like that.
Wow, I like that.
I disagree with his sports takes all the time, but that is what it is. But the stakes are too high for that level of ignorance. And Jason Whitlock is a different animal. I think Jason Whitlock, Ice Cube, Stephen A. Smith are all in different lanes. I don't want people to think they're the same, but I do think they contribute to an erosion of our culture, and particularly the success thereof.
Bakari Sellers.
I love it. Love it. Love to hear it. Upset that he didn't get into a position of leadership. I think he was running for Senate in Florida. No, or governor of Florida. South Carolina. Okay. Hopefully he comes back and is actually somebody who can represent correctly. Yeah, but I agree, man. Stephen, like you said, Stephen A. is overmatched. If you don't have the acclimate, the reference points, and you don't know your history, it's pretty hard to get up there and stake a claim for being the representative of Black people. Now, I always point out, he is Jamaican. He's a first generation Jamaican. So that puts a different spin on it because, like I said, they don't have the unique Black experiences, fundamentally Black American experiences that we have. So there's something to be said to that. And I just don't think that for his lack of knowledge that he should be representing us in any way, shape, or form. He's just not qualified. It's just certain people that are not qualified. That would be like me getting on television and being like, oh, I want to be a camera operator. I'm not qualified for it. You know what I mean? If you're not qualified with something, learn about it before you put yourself out there, especially when he's got such a large platform. Like you say, he's good between 10 and 12 in the morning, right before the Pat McAfee show. He's good on ESPN. You know what I mean? I don't care for his personal shows because, like I said, I don't do the whole celebrity worship thing. But stay in your lane, bro. Just stick to what you're good at. And until he does that, I actually don't even watch his ESPN takes anymore. I like Uncle Shannon. You know what I'm saying? I don't even watch his ESPN takes anymore. I'm just strictly the nightcap at this point. I'm really waiting for them to whittle Stephen A. Smith all the way out of my algorithm because at this point I have no use for him.
Bakari called him a youthful idiot. That's basically what he is when he goes over to Fox News and on Hannity parades him out and says, oh, this is my friend, Stephen A. Smith. Look at my friend, Stephen A. Smith. Listen, kick rocks. The useful idiot, P.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I agree with everything he said, actually. You got to be, some people, they don't care. And they're not careful who they're making comfortable. When you go on and you have a huge platform and your whole deal, like a Candace Owens or a Whitlock or, you know what I'm saying? Your whole identity is to make white folk comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's just counterproductive to Black people all over. And which, again, they just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Is it the money? You know what I'm saying? Do they have some self-hate? I don't know what it is. But why would you go on a national stage and say bad things about your own people? It's just simplistic. Why would you do that? You have to have some type of motive. And to me, you know how I am. Follow the money, man. The motive got to be the money. You know what I'm saying? You got to be jumping off your square for some bread or something. I don't know what it is, man.
That's why it's important to point out his ethnic heritage, because it's easier for him to get away with saying things like that if he feels that there's a degree of separation between him and the people that he's speaking about.
I noticed, remember now, we're going to go back 12 years, longer than that. Stephen A. was with ESPN, and then his contract was not renewed. This is when he used to make the appearances on Best Damn. He used to be on the Best Damn Sports Show from time to time. And this was when he was on hiatus from ESPN. They didn't renew his contract. Now, remember, I used to listen to him in the morning. He had a radio show. He had the Stephen A. Smith radio show, but it was out of Cali, right? And it came on in the morning time. This was like when the Celtics and the Lakers was playing in the championship. So this is like 2010. And I would always want to hear his takes because he wasn't on ESPN at that time. So I used to listen to his radio show. And I mention this to say, when he got back on ESPN, he was a whole different type of dude, man, compared to when he left ESPN. Because now remember, he had a talk show when he had the little sit down with the studio audience.
Right. I remember that. Yep.
You know what I mean? Quite Frankly was the name of the joint.
Yep.
Quite Frankly, when he had the little sort of like the Roy Firestone, but it was with a live audience. And after that got cut, they sent him off. They cast him off. And then when he came back with Skip, right? He was a total different type of character. You know what I mean? Maybe they cloned him. I digress. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, a lot of that has a lot to do with the type of person Stephen A. is now. And not to say that he should be the same person he was back in 2010, but he is a total different vibe compared to what he was before he was cast off. And before we get off of Stephen A., let me just say this. Jason Whitlock and Ice Cube, y'all asses ain't safe around here neither. This episode, this particular brew is not for y'all. But you better believe there's some brews coming up, some soup coming up that y'all asses will be prime and center of the soup. You know what I mean? But before we get off of Stephen A., man, pause. Before we do that, we're going to go to DL Hughley. And DL had some choice words for Mr. Screaming A. Y'all see I didn't say no Diddy because I don't play that.
That's right.
Stephen A. Smith, first off, I think Stephen says, what insults me is when you say something and pretend like you didn't say it. We heard what you said. Then you said, they taking me out of context. Nigga, play the tape. Show me what it is that you said that was different than I perceived you said. Right. You said it, right? You said that black people relate to Donald Trump. How? If I know a black dude who in his 70s, close to 80s, is still committing crime, I'm not hanging out with that nigga.
Word.
Right. It's just different.
It says more about what you think is relatable and what you perceive as relatable. It says more about you than it does about him. Once you got convicted of raping somebody, I can't fuck with you. I don't care who you are. When you've committed fraud, I can't mess with you. So it says more about what this dude thinks is, because when you make those kind of broad statements, what you're saying is, from my perspective, from my vantage point, these people think this. Who are you hanging around that thinks an old fraudulent rapist is relatable to you?
Right.
Who is in your sphere that you think that's okay? Don't be a pussy and tell me you didn't say it. You did. You did. You said what you said. Now I know your head is big. Steven, they got you know how you get brain surgery. You look like that.
Yeah, there you go.
You remember the ending from Apocalypto?
Right, there you go.
No, maybe it's a lot of space there. You said it, stand on it. Don't tell me you didn't say it. You said on Fox News that black people relate to him. What you're saying is we respect criminality. We're held sway by it.
Yeah, we're in the court.
We love it. So don't say you didn't say it. And I get tired of people telling me, if he got taken out of context, show me the thing you said that is different than what I believe you said.
And that's easy. You know what I'm saying?
Just press play.
Yep.
Don't say you didn't say it.
Total recall.
And what
misconstrued.
Stephen A. Smith does, he lionizes white people to do stuff. Dana White slapped the shit out of his wife, right? And watch the interview he did with him. He lionized that dude. He softballed him. He lionizes people like that. The same thing he would excoriate a black man for, he lined.
Gotcha.
He slapped his wife, and then the next day, this nigga had a show called Power Slap on TV.
So ironic.
And when he slapped his woman, and you did the interview, you all but apologize for having to answer that question. This is your MO. You believe this shit, but don't be a pussy and tell me you didn't say it. You said it and stand on it. Say it's
And
what you
double
believe.
down on it.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey man, and it's crazy.
Oh, shout to DL.
Misconstrued.
DL is like one of the comedians I'd love to blow a bogey with and have some yak and just build with him. Because I know he gonna make me laugh like a motherfucker, and I know I'm gonna make that motherfucker laugh like a motherfucker, because we gonna rip, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So P, DL.
I like his combination of reality and comedy at the same time, because reality can be funny. And the way he conveys it, man, it's hilarious, man. Come on, Stephen. He got at Stephen A like he should have. You know what I'm saying? Go back to the tape. What do you talk about? You didn't say it. That's all you got to do is go back to the tape and take a look. It is what it is, man. Stand on what you said, man. Don't go back on it. And DL said, man, be a man about it. Again, I always mess with DL, man. He's always been one of my favorite comedians because he makes the politics simple and he makes you laugh at the same time. And it's all 100% true, man. He's going to give you the truth.
So from one DL to the original DL, you know what I'm saying? He called Stephen A straight up and down. He called him a pussy.
Pretty much.
Yeah, said the right thing about it, because if you're going to stand up there and say that we didn't hear you say what you said, what are you standing on? You know what I mean? And shouts out to DL Hughley. He is definitely in my top 3 comedians that are currently alive and kicking. Definitely top 3, maybe number 2, probably behind Chappelle. I love Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? I like Hughley, and I like your boy, not Del Rey, the dude that do a lot of writing. I forgot his name. He'll come to me. But yeah, I respect what DL does is from an intellectual point of view. Now, he's someone who can safely switch lanes. Perfect example. He's a comedian by nature, right? He switched over to TV. He does movies, and he podcasts, radio, right? So he's moving his little lanes over, and he can step in. He's informed enough from a political point of view to comment on that as well. Because remember, he used to make frequent guest appearances on CNN. If I'm not mistaken, he had a show on there for quite some time.
He had his own show. So
yeah, he had his own show on there. So obviously he's educated enough to hop into that lane and discuss those issues. Whereas, as you call him, Screaming A, Gary Gnu, is not. You know what I mean? Man, just stick to your lane, bro. Just if you can't do something, hire somebody else who can do it better than you. That's the best advice I could give him for his particular views. And here's the thing about it is that him, Whitlock, Ice Cube, like they said, are different variations of the same animal.
Right.
They're different lanes of black submission to white supremacy and through capitalism. And I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. Like you said, we're going to get into Whitlock and Ice Cube. But Stephen A, man, just stop. Just stop, bro. Just talk about Devin Booker and his statue.
I certainly agree with that, man. Shout out to DL Hughley, man. I respect him a lot. His opinions, he usually is right on point with the things that he brings to the table, because again, he's like every man. He ain't like, listen, I got millions and millions, so I'm gonna walk around with my nose up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna speak to the perspective of my people. You know what I mean? And shout out again to DL. And with that, we're gonna say fuck out of here too.
Remember, no news is good. News with Gary. News.
Yeah. So as we continue on, man, with this episode, this sizzling episode of The Soup, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down low. Smash that like button and please subscribe. As we continue on, man, we've heading towards election season. November is going to be on us before you know it. Shit, man. May is this week. So time doesn't slow down for anybody. It keeps moving along. And as I'm talking about, and as we've been talking about these last couple of episodes, that votes have consequences. Whether you do vote or you don't vote, it has a consequence. And right here, man, in the state of Tennessee, they tried to pass a crazy ass gun law, man, whereas teachers are being permitted to carry a firearm in the classroom. Now, we've all been students, and we know the hell that we have given teachers as students. And then you're going to give them the right to have the burner on their hip? Come on, say Mr. Roughton is having a bad day. Is he going to pull the hammer out and tell everybody to sit down? You know what I'm saying? Let me share this with y'all, man. And I got this from Representative Justin Jones. He was one of the exonerated 3. He's a congressman here in Tennessee. And I follow him on Twitter, man. And he's actually the one who posted this, man. So let me share this with y'all. What they're chanting is blood on your hands because they're trying to pass this law.
Blood on your hands. Blood on your hands. Blood on your hands. Blood. Blood on your hands. So now let me go to Justin and let him run down.
Hey, y'all. We just wrapped up for today a horrible day here at the Tennessee House. My Republican colleagues forced through a bill to arm teachers, even as the gallery is full of teachers and students and parents and clergy, begging them not to pass this law. And as they pushed it through by cutting off debate, not even allowing me to speak on the bill, many members to speak on the bill, the gallery started to chant, and the speaker ordered the gallery cleared of the public and media. I tried to record my constituents being escorted out by troopers, and for that I was found under Rule 19 to be out of order by the speaker and my Republican colleagues, and that means that for the next 2 days, I won't be able to speak at all on the House floor. Even though other Republican members were also video recording, and in fact, a Republican colleague, Representative Chris Todd, came and physically shoved me. That was how this was seen by staff and other members who tried to get the attention of the speaker to rule him out of order. They refused to and laughed it off. This is what it looks like to work with people who are drunk with power. This is what fascism looks like, and it's a sad day for Tennessee.
Wow.
So yeah, fellas, this is what's going down here in Tennessee, right here where I live, man. As he said, you've got the GOP, the Republican side of the state of Tennessee, who are the champions of this bill. When you hear this, what goes through your mind?
I think that's absolutely crazy. I mean, like, why would you even want to create that atmosphere for the students? You know what I mean? How can you really be comfortable learning anything if you know that your teacher has a strap in the desk? That's wild. You know what I mean? Regardless of what type of relationship you have with the teacher, and I guess to a certain extent, it instills a level of respect, more so fear than anything else. But how are you going to learn if you're under mental duress? You know what I mean? And isn't the object of a public schools police department to take care of the schools? Isn't that I know Atlanta Public Schools has a police force. Gwinnett Public Schools has a police force.
They call, I forget what they call, what type of officer they call them, but they do have a patrolman that
literally, literally a police officer with a gun. Right. So as opposed to arming students and teachers and providing them with weapons, why don't you increase and hire more people? You know what I mean? In the police department or community liaisons, whatever the case may be, armed community liaisons, so that they can, or so that maybe they can be on patrol in the school. But arming every teacher, that's absolutely crazy. That's 40 or 50 weapons being brought into an institution every day. What happens if a student gets a hold of a weapon?
All right.
Come on, man. That's wild, man. That is really wild.
Panero, the Tennessee Republicans passing a bill to arm teachers, and Mrs. Butterworth got the burner on her hip and waving bye to you.
Wow. Tennessee, man, the Republicans in Tennessee, these are the people that want to uphold marrying your first cousin. I think you can marry your first cousin in Tennessee.
You can?
They're trying to uphold that. Like, this is crazy, man. As a youth, I was a PBS kid, as we all were. So I would watch Eyes on the Prize a lot. So I had a lot of information about myself, about what was going on. So I'd go to school. Shout out to Amanda Seals. I'd go to school sometimes and correct the teacher. Yo, that's not right. That's not what's going on. So luckily, I'm still here because there wasn't a law back then for teachers to have guns. I might have caught one. You know what I'm saying?
Caught a hot one?
I might have caught one. I probably wouldn't be a man of a certain age right now. You know what I'm saying? I would have caught it. Hold on. You know what I mean? But again, I wouldn't feel comfortable expressing myself if I knew a teacher had a burner in their desk. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping kids from being able to be themselves and to actually learn because you're going into a hostile environment. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Miss Schroeder got a burner? I'm just trying to chew this gum. Hold on. Let me give everybody in the class some gum, but Miss Schroeder bucked me one time. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
So the substitute teacher is going to have two burners and the bazooka on his shoulder, because you know what type of hell the substitute teacher
As soon as the substitute walk in the class, you getting hit with a piece of paper.
extra clip.
You
Extra
not
clips.
no respect, Miss Pinkett. Coming from wherever you came from, we not respecting you. We're not doing nothing that you don't turn your back on the backboard. It's a wrap because we're kids. That's what kids do.
It is absolutely ridiculous for them to even think that was somehow, some way, a smart law to be trying to pass. Again, man, as we sit up here and pontificate week in and week out, man, vote, man.
Yeah.
And vote your conscience, man. You can't just go up there and just say, I'm voting all Republicans or I'm voting all Democrats. You know what I mean? You got to listen to what these people are saying and what they're proposing before you go in there and press that button. You know what I mean? Tap that screen. Yeah, man. Don, in the rundown, you said that you had something that you wanted to share with the peoples before we get up out of here, man, about something that happened in the great city of Atlanta, man.
Yeah, I was actually talking about how yesterday I went to the Battery, which is where the Braves play. Cobb County, really probably about 25 minutes from my house, unless there's traffic, and we don't even have that discussion. But so I went up there yesterday, and remember, I live in the city, basically the city of Atlanta, and I work in Gwinnett County, and it's completely different. And I want people to understand that Atlanta is not Georgia. And I say, even though we're in a very large metropolitan area, right, and we have diverse representation, we're all doing the same thing, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And we have diverse representation. There is a difference. There's a difference between when you're in Cobb County, where the majority of the people are white suburbanites, probably about 60, 70% of the population, low Hispanic population, the rest being occupied by Black people. Gwinnett, where it's probably about 50% white, 25% is maybe like 30% Hispanic, maybe 15% Asian. So it's really it's completely it's completely different from the demographics of Atlanta. And I say that to say because when people think about large metropolitan areas, they really need to think about what affects them, and that to me is voting locally. You know what I mean? It's important that we take our local issues into effect and into considerations when we are voting, because what ends up happening is that we get the situation where we have other people representing us as opposed to the people whose needs really need to be served. And a big part of that is things like restoration of rights, are things like making sure that you attend your local neighborhood meetings, are things really just that important, man. And I think that we need to really start. We talk about Trump every week and so on and so forth. If you look at how the government works and we use it to our benefit, it can benefit us individually. Now I have a brand new sidewalk in front of my house. because of Joe Biden's infrastructure act, right? Now, it seems that it's something that you're probably not going to think about, but that's something that affected me personally as a voter. That infrastructure act got passed. Now my city's got money to go ahead and beautify my sidewalk. So votings do have effects and consequences, like Les always says. Just really vote and vote your interest. Vote your community, and that is really important because not only do people die for you to vote, there are a lot of people who can't vote, man. We have to fairly represent those people as well.
Well said, UH. P, before we get out of here and let you give your words of wisdom before we wrap it up, man, I just want to say, man, again, as Don just said, you vote your interests. It was a story that came across my line about a Republican restaurant owner in Florida who voted for DeSantis.
Yeah.
He voted for him, and DeSantis passed his law about the undocumented immigrants, right? So this guy had to fire 12 employees because of that law, and he got fined $500,000. So he, again, thinking that me voting for DeSantis is going to give me tax break. He's going to be hard on immigration. And in the end, what happened is it jumped up and bit him in his ass, and now he's hurting $500,000 less. So again, people, we're gonna push this until we get past the election day. Man, vote. Use your vote, man, because it is very important that you do. So Panero, before we wrap up here this evening, man, the people always want to hear what you got to say, man, as we go up 95, 89, the New York Knickerbockers. Go ahead, Lord, and give them words of wisdom.
From men of a certain age, from Uncle P to my nieces and nephews out there, we got some financial advice for you today. It's called the 10-10-10-70 rule. I know you guys probably know about it. When you get your bread, 10% of it should go to a charity of your liking. 10% of it you should invest so your money works for you while you're sleeping. All right? Save 10% of it on an interest-bearing savings account or checking account. And the 70 is what you live off of. You know what I mean? That's for men of a certain age. Uncle P, man, that's just a little financial advice for the people out there.
Man, I love it. Again, y'all, we're going to say it again. Please share, comment, and subscribe. That like button. Again, man, Memorial Day will be here soon. We are trying to get to 250 subscribers by the Memorial Day weekend, man, so we can come out in our all white and feel good with 250 of y'all on our team.
No doubt.
So as we take this hot soup off the stove, I'm Les. I got my man Panero and my man DL out of the ATL. And as always, man, it's the same old soup. We just reheating it.
Peace.